What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. In this video today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. We're going to be talking about how Bitcoin is setting up for the big move. We're going to make sure that we're able to go ahead and see exactly where you want to be entering, why, how to manage your risk, and what expectations are. We're also going to be looking at Ethereum, which is really an hour or so away from a potential buy entry. A longer term buy entry. We're going to take a look at that right now. Everyone, let's get going and get into this video. We're going to start over here by taking a look at what's going on Bitcoin on the linear scale, where we left off yesterday on our analysis. By the way, we were watching Bitcoin yesterday, trading about $50 off of what the stop loss was, talking about why it is so important to wait for confirmation if you were looking to attack. And here we see the trade held on, and we see that we have a breakout, a retest, and now price is trying to resume off. A resumption off is going to be above 20,500, but we're going to look at that from different angles over here and try to see a better way to go ahead and get into that position. Also, in yesterday's video, we talked about those that were very short time frame, blah, 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 blah. Again, we go from start to finish here. No edits. We'll keep going. We're talking about those that were looking for a quick trade and talking about why setting it off that clone trend line over there, where the entry would be. That trade coming into profit right now, but we're looking for the bigger trade. We're looking for the bigger moves. We're looking for trades that we could get into and push as far as they could go. If you remember, we were looking at this and we were looking at that intuition, talking about the fakey on the CPI in July, the days before, talking about this trend line and why I had that same feeling. And sure enough, it appears that could be in play right now, but it's not for sure or for certain. You could see that we have this other trend line over here, and price continues to be consolidating, coiled up, getting ready for a breakout or a breakdown. And really, we don't know which way it is yet, and it could still go either way. You have to see, or I'm very interested to see if there's any follow through in yesterday's buying, yesterday's bounce, yesterday's short covering, and whether or not the markets are able to put in, let's say, a couple of back-to-back days. We have earnings coming into the picture. That's going to take the forefront of what the market's going to be paying attention to, and what happens next is absolutely dependent on that. You can see that we've had this green little window over here, price breaking above it, that just set up a very nice entry. You could see as we were looking on linear, 20,500, a breakout above will be the same level over there. Keep watching that, but keep patient, keep neutral, and wait for the opportunity to attack, because it could be to the downside. And if it is to the downside and we get a breakout outside of this pattern to the downside, it could be a very big move. Now, there's no question, some of you are still holding the long over here. Those that use the tight stop loss, they got out, they took the stop loss. Those that use the wider stop loss and the smaller position size, they're still holding the trade, but that trade is neutral right now. We're still looking for that breakout, retest, and now we're trying to see if we resume up. A resume up is a new swing high. So I just want to caution over here that you want to be patient. You want to wait and pick your setup. We are currently neutral in between resistance and then support on the downside, waiting for that breakout or that breakdown, and the move should be pretty big coming out of it. You can see from this angle over here, as we look at the battle between the bulls and the bears, we could see clearly the breakout, the retest, and now seeing if we could resume up. And then the bear side is very important over here, because we had that breakdown, that early entry to the sell side, and coming into the CPI, if you were seeing that breakdown and holding that position, that looked good. But as price came back above and you have this trend line right over there showing you how to manage your risk, you know that the trade did not follow through. You have breakdown, retest, and then you never resumed off. What happened instead is that you failed. The retest was a failure. That's amazing. That's perfect. You know, to get out of the trade, and then being on the right side of the market is the most important. A lot of people are often most concerned with whatever particular trade they are in at that moment. That's not how you win at this game. It's a long-term mindset. any individual trade is meaningless actually and truly if you go into each trade thinking that you're going to get stopped out and or take a loss. You're going to be preparing yourself and setting yourself up to go ahead and manage those positions a lot better. Talking about Ethereum and talking about a potential entry setting up in just a couple of hours, you could see that throughout 2022, we've only had a few opportunities on the long side. Ethereum's on the lower screen over here. Let me go ahead and just make that a little bit bigger for you as we talk about it. And in 2022, Ethereum's only had a few opportunities on the upside. And by the way, some of them were quite spectacular. This trade over here off of mid-July into mid-August was a 52% gain on the upside. And of course, there's been abundant opportunity on the downside, but we're talking about the buy side only right here as we're getting ready for this to turn green in a couple of hours. And if it does, just want to show you throughout 2022 why buy and hold has netted you a 53% loss, trading buy side only, spot only, a 39% gain. And it gets a little bit better if you look into 2021, buy side only, a 284% gain, 25% drawdown. This is the buy side only. Rewind a little bit further to 2020. Now these gains don't look really beautiful over here. Again, that drawdown remains the same, very low, very controlled, but the gains on the upside starting to come. Now go back a little bit further into 2019 and you could see that compounding growth really coming into play, and that's why you need to have a plan and you need to be able to execute over the long term. Go back a little further and go back now to 2018. You know that, remember, that was a very difficult year for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Bitcoin is the rising tide that lifts all boats. When Bitcoin's not rising during that bear market of 2018, Ethereum got destroyed. But if you're trading buy side only, you just, you know what, preserving that capital, not making any significant gains, but not taking any losses, that's the way to go for sure. And then you add the bull market, and then all of a sudden you see some explosion taking place. And that's really what we want to do. And we have a potential signal setting up in just a little bit. Looking forward and further out, we now have earnings, and that becomes the most important thing in the market. And expectations have been diminished for third quarter earnings. Whether or not the market is able to actually beat those, so some good forward expectations for the fourth quarter is really going to be the qualifier about whether we see over the next 2 weeks any further extension of this bounce, short covering that actually leads to buying. If the market is able to tick up a little bit, we actually see some large inflows from CTAs coming into the market, commodity trading advisors. And then if we go even further than that and the market is able to hold on to anything up until the end of the month, that's when you see corporate buybacks, $5 billion a day over November and December entering the market. Seasonally, this is the time to, for, let's say, favorably for the market, but we're watching the technicals over here, and we got this really, really outlined over here as we're coiling for either that big breakdown or that big breakout. We'll make sure we stay on the right side, do it together. If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not, welcome back. On your way out, enjoy your weekend, hit the like button. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that now. Everyone, have a beautiful day. I'll talk to you soon.